Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Sunday Large Group. Today we'll have our prayer, then our Bible reading, which is from 1 Corinthians 12, 1 to 11. I'll share some reflections from this week's reading. Then we'll share an activity that you can do this week in your homes. We're going to sing our bubble song first for our little ones. Then we'll say our prayer for the world. Bubbles, bubbles in the air, bubbles, bubbles everywhere. Bubbles, bubbles in the sky, as we worship God on high. Bubbles, bubbles in the air, bubbles, bubbles everywhere.
Hi Rachel, hi children, hope you're having a great week. I'm just going to lead us in a prayer this week. This week we're going to pray for some things that are going on all around the world, but something that started, or at least was kind of brought up in America in recent weeks. You might have seen in the news that there's been lots of things about protests and riots, lots of different descriptions of people gathering about and trying to talk to their government, to their leaders, to people around the world about something called racism. And this is sparked from something that happened. A man died in America, and you can ask mums and dads or parents or carers to talk to you about that story if you'd like to find out more. But what that's caused is lots of people all around the world to comment on that and to say what they think about that, and hopefully what might come out of this is that things might change, and that's what we'd really like, that things might change and that might be less racism in the world, less racism in America. And there's been all sorts of people talking about this. There's been presidents and prime ministers and politicians and church leaders, and there's all the rest of the people as well. And what we would really like to pray for is that God is listening to them, but that also God is talking to them. And there's lots of people involved in this who might know God and might want to listen to God, and there's lots of people involved in this who don't know God and won't know to listen to God, but that God can still speak to them. And so what we're going to pray for, we're going to pray particularly for America as they go through this very difficult time, and they're trying to deal with COVID as well as all of this. But we're going to pray that they might be able to listen to God and hear what he has to say about it. Okay, so we're going to do our normal prayer all together. So get ready. Say, Lord of all creation, we pray for America. We pray that people there would listen to your word, that they will be able to hear what you say, and that you would be speaking to all the people that matter. And so we pray that from the tallest to the smallest, there will be peace, love, joy, now and always. Amen.
Now we're going to have this week's Bible reading. Hello!
Hello, I'm going to be doing today's Bible reading, which is taken from 1 Corinthians 12, verses 1 to 11. Now about the gifts of the Spirit, brothers and sisters, I do not want you to be uninformed. You know that when you were pagans, somehow or other you were influenced and led astray to mute idols. Therefore I want you to know that no one who is speaking by the Spirit of God says Jesus be cursed, and no one can say Jesus is Lord except by the Holy Spirit. There are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. There are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different kinds of working, but in all of them and in every one it is the same God at work. Now to each one the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. To one there is given through the Spirit a message of wisdom. To another a message of knowledge, by means of the same Spirit. To another faith by the same Spirit. To another gifts of healing by that one Spirit. To another miraculous powers, and to another prophecy. To another distinguishing between spirits. To another speaking in different kinds of tongues, and to still another the interpretation of tongues. All these are the work of one and the same Spirit, and he distributes them to each one, just as he determines.
Now would be a great time to pause our video and watch the video in the description below. This is Kid Pastor talking about why knowing our spiritual gifts is important and how we use them to work together as the whole body of Christ, the church.
Rachel, what gifts do you have?
Well, for my birthday I got scarves, I got chocolates, I got candles, I got books. What kind of gifts do you at home like getting?
No, not those kind of gifts, silly.
Oh, what kind of gifts?
What gifts do you possess?
Oh, I think I'm quite creative, adventurous, encouraging, empathetic, bubbly, trustworthy. What about you at home?
No, that's your talents. What about your gifts?
Oh, do you know that the Bible talks about gifts? About spiritual gifts. They are distinct from and not to be confused with our natural gifts. Natural gifts are talents that God created every person with. They could be anything from cooking to running. They are important, and anyone who wants to live well and thrive should exercise their natural gifts. But they're not exclusive to those who are in a relationship with God. When we become Christians, the Bible says the Holy Spirit gives us a new set of gifts from God. When someone has a spiritual gift, it means that God has chosen to work through that person in a particular way. We'll look at some examples shortly. Often our natural gifts and our spiritual gifts are designed by God to work together in harmony. Now we understand a bit more about spiritual gifts, where they come from and how they compare with our talents. But what are they? There are many, at least 22 mentioned in the Bible, generally broken down into 3 categories. But for now, we're talking about those mentioned in today's reading. Words of knowledge and words of wisdom is the ability to speak godly knowledge or wisdom into a situation or into somebody's life. They should always remind us of the words that Jesus might have said because they come from the Holy Spirit. The faith of every Christian is a gift from God. Some people, though, are given especially strong faith at a certain time when it might be needed the most, perhaps in a situation where others are struggling to have faith. That might look like believing the impossible is possible and trusting that God is in control, even when it all seems hopeless. The gift of healing is an ability that Jesus and many of his disciples are recorded as using in the Bible. This gift is not limited to healing wounds and diseases, but also to emotional and spiritual healing too. The gift of miracles is similar, inviting God to use his power through you to do amazing things, like some of the things we see in the Bible. Maybe you could pause this video and talk with your family about some of the amazing miracles you've heard about in the Old and New Testament. Some particular favourites of mine are when Moses parts the Red Sea, when Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead, and when he controls the wind and the waves, and when Paul was miraculously able to resist the venom of a snake bite. A lot of our biblical heroes were prophets. You may have heard of some of the prophets in the Old Testament. Maybe again you could pause this video and name some. They had the gift of prophecy, which allowed them to give special messages from God to his people. Paul views prophecy as an important gift for the church, as it's through this gift that God might give specific guidance to specific churches in situations they find themselves in. Prophetic words should always be to build up and encourage and comfort the community. Sometimes people might claim they speak in God's name, but actually they have less than perfect intentions. So those with the gift of discernment are sensitive to whether or not something has come from the Holy Spirit. The gift of tongues comes in 2 forms. The first is when people are able to tell people of the good news of Jesus or pray in languages that they've not learned. God doesn't let the language barrier get in the way of sharing the gospel. Otherwise, this gift looks like speaking in a language that nobody on earth speaks. Instead, they can speak in the language of heaven that can express things about God that our human languages can't. Because nobody knows this language, it's helpful for people to pray in tongues either when they're alone with God or when they're with someone who has the gift of interpreting tongues. Such a person can translate this language and tell the rest of the church what's being said. Maybe you've heard people praying in tongues at our church. To these gifts are added apostles, pastors, teachers, leaders, and the gifts of giving, mercy, and evangelism. You can see Romans 12 and Ephesians 4 for some of these. All these gifts are given by the Holy Spirit to individuals, but their purpose is to build up the entire church. Some people will have many gifts, some will only have one. But our reading says that all believers will be given at least one, and they are given those gifts for the building up of the church and for the sake of God's kingdom. We're blessed, each one of us, to have gifts that we can share with others and use to glorify God. Just think about your own gifts and the gifts of those around you. There are so many ways that we can serve. Do you know what your gifts are? And if so, how you could use them? Maybe someone in your family could help you work out what your gifts are. Don't worry though if you don't know what your spiritual gifts are yet. Sometimes other people will see those gifts in you before you do. Once you know what your gift you have been entrusted with, you can start to exercise that gift and use it for the good of others. Paul says there are various kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit. This means that we're each given different gifts, but all our gifts come from the same source, which is God. Think of it in the way you think of bees, marvellous bees. They each have work to do to keep the hive going. The worker bees have many jobs. Some build the honeycomb, some tend the needs of the queen bee, some take care of young bees, some clean the hive, and some guard the hive. Older bees go outside to gather flower nectar, pollen, and water. All bees work together to take care of the hive. We could say that even the bees have special talents and gifts that come from God. They work together for the same purpose, and because of that, what do they produce? Honey. Such a sweet, wonderful gift. Just think how good honey tastes on your toast in the morning. When we work together, we have the opportunity to share God's love with others in our world, and that gift is sweeter than any honey. The final thing to mention is that spiritual gifts should not be confused with the fruit of the Spirit. Remember, we spoke about those last week. Some people might never feel like they get to grips with their spiritual gifts, but the chances are, if they're living lives that are faithfully following the example of Jesus, then they will produce plenty of good fruit. Spiritual gifts are important and definitely worth taking the time to explore, but Jesus says that it is by fruit believers bear, not the miracles they perform, that they will be recognised as his people. And Paul goes on to say in his next chapter that even if he had all the spiritual gifts at once, but did not have the most important fruit of the Spirit, love, then all those gifts would be for nothing. My prayer for you is that you would always choose to follow Jesus and try to be like him in the way that you live your life. And I hope that along the way you will discover the spiritual gifts that God has given you and find ways to use them for his glory and to help others and to show others how much God loves them. At the end of this video, you can listen to the song Miracles, which is in the description below. Be quiet for a short time and think about today's reading. After you've taken some time to reflect, you can sing together the song Build Up. We each have gifts that we can use to glorify God and encourage each other and build each other up. This is a really fun version of the song by Fishy Music, sung by Yester Primary School. I really hope you enjoy singing along and joining in with the actions. This song did make me a little sad seeing all the boys and girls singing together in their uniforms. I'm sure you're all missing school and seeing your friends, so I hope this cheers you up and doesn't make you too sad. We're now going to show you an activity that you can do this week in your home. Hello, Naomi.
Hi Rachel, hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you two recipes. The first one is a summer fruits lemonade and the second one is rocky roads. So we're going to start with the lemonade, and for that you're going to need 4 lemons, some frozen berry mix, whatever you fancy. I've got the summer fruits mix, so it's got blackberries, raspberries, red currants and black currants in it. You're going to need some sugar, and if you have it, some fresh mint, but don't worry if you don't have fresh mint, that's fine. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to peel one of these lemons so that we can put the zest in when we're boiling it all together. So we're just going to get just a vegetable peeler and we're going to peel it like this. There we go. This is quite tricky, so you might want to get a grown-up to help with this. There we go. Right, that'll do. So we'll set that to one side, and then we're going to juice these 4 lemons. So once you've juiced the lemons, then you're going to add the frozen berry mix into the pan. And the sugar. And you're going to take these bits of lemon peel that you peeled off before and pop them in. And then you're going to put the mint in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this over to the hob and we're going to put in some water, and then we're going to boil this down and make a really nice syrup. Okay. So we're going to stir that all together and add 250 ml of water. What we're going to do is we're just going to keep stirring this until all the sugar has dissolved and it becomes quite syrupy. Okay, so now that it's starting to come to the boil, you need to keep an eye on it quite a lot because it could quite easily boil over. But all the fruit is going to start going all mushy and soft, and that's great because that's what you want. You want the fruit to sort of disintegrate a bit into the syrup because that's going to make the flavour amazing. So we're just going to keep stirring it now. Okay, so now that it's at this stage, we're going to boil it for maybe 5 to 10 minutes so that it thickens and becomes quite syrupy. So what we're going to do, once this has become a syrup, we're going to set it aside and let it cool down, and then we're going to strain out all of the bits, so all of the mint leaves, the lemon peel and any of the seeds and everything. And then we're going to have a really nice summerberry lemon syrup that we'll then make into the lemonade. This is really hot and it's like 25 degrees today, and I think I'm actually melting. Okay, so that's become quite a nice syrup. We don't need it to be too thick, we're not trying to make jam or anything. So we're just going to take this off the heat now, and we're going to set it aside and let it cool. Okay, so now that our syrup for our berry lemonade is cooling, we're going to start on the Rocky Road mix. So what we need to do first is crush these digestive biscuits, which is going to be a lot of fun. So you get a freezer bag or a bag like this, just pop the biscuits in. Now if it's one with a seal, make sure you don't seal it completely when you do this, because otherwise the bag might explode and you'd get biscuit everywhere. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to hold it loosely like this, and I'm going to take a rolling pin and we're going to crush the biscuits. So have fun with this. Now when you're crushing the biscuits, make sure that you leave a few chunks of biscuit because they're quite tasty in the Rocky Road. I'm using a digestive biscuit, but you could use rich tea biscuit or ginger nut biscuit, whatever biscuit is your favourite, you can use that. So we've got quite a nice mix, so we've got a few bigger chunks. This is a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy doing this bit. There we go. And then that's probably good. So we've got some bigger chunks and a lot of the powdery stuff. So Right, now that we've done that, we're just going to put that to one side and we will use that later. And now what we're going to do is mix our chocolate and our butter together and our golden syrup. So I've got 200 grams of chocolate here. I've got half dark chocolate and half milk chocolate, because if I do all milk chocolate I find it's incredibly sweet. So this just means that it's not quite so rich and sweet when you're eating it, but it's still absolutely wonderful. So we're going to put these 200 grams in here, and then we're going to put the butter in, and then we're going to put some golden syrup in. So we're going to put, sorry I forgot, we're going to put 45 grams of golden syrup straight in the pan. There we go. And now that we have that, what we're going to do is we're going to melt this all on the hob. Let's do that. Now it's important to keep stirring this, because the chocolate will stick to the bottom of the pan if not, and then you'll get burnt chocolate, and that's not a very nice taste. Okay, so I'm just going to stir it until all of the lumps of chocolate have dissolved, melted. Now, I know the temptation is going to be to just eat it like this because it looks delicious, but what we're going to do is we're going to let it cool for a couple of minutes, just so that when we put the marshmallows in they don't melt into the chocolate, and then we'll stir it all together and put it in our tin. So let's move back over here. Okay, so we're just going to let that sit for a minute, just so that it can cool a bit, and then we're going to line our tray. So I'm using quite a deep tray so that we can get nice chunks of Rocky Road. I've just got a bit of greaseproof paper. Doesn't need to be too neat, it's just to stop the Rocky Road sticking to the tin. So I'll just put that there. So what we're going to do is we're now going to mix in our biscuit mixture that we did before, and also our marshmallows. Now I've got little marshmallows here, but if you can only get the bigger ones, maybe just cut them into chunks and then they'll mix in quite nicely. I'm just going for the classic biscuits, marshmallow, chocolate Rocky Road, but if you want to add some dried fruit or some nuts or maybe some Maltesers or Crunchie or anything you can think of, you can mix that in as well. Just substitute some of the marshmallows for those. So we've got 150 grams of marshmallows here, so you could maybe do 100 grams of marshmallow and 50 grams of dried fruit, maybe. But I'm just going to stick with the classic marshmallows and biscuit today. So we're going to put you want to make sure that all the biscuit and marshmallow is covered with the chocolate and golden syrup mixture. And once it is, it'll go all gloopy, and then you can take this and just tip it in. So, I'm helpful to get a metal spoon and then press the Rocky Road into the corners. Again, it doesn't need to be too precise, but just try and get it as flat as you can. There we go. And now we're gonna put that in the fridge for 1 or 2 hours, and then we'll be able to eat it. We'll do that. Okay, so while the Rocky Road is cooling down, we're gonna finish making our berry lemonade. So, grab this. What we're going to do now is we're going to strain the syrup that we made before. So just take this and carefully make a mess. Carefully pour it through the sieve and just sort of press it through. Doing this very well. Oh, I'm making such a mess. Hopefully when you do it you'll make less of a mess than I did. But what we're going to do with this now is we're just going to get a glass bottle and we're just going to pour it in. Perfect. And then we'll save this for later for having with our Rocky Roads. Pop this in the fridge. Right, so once your Rocky Road has been in the fridge for a couple of hours, it'll be nice and hard. You can just lift it out. And then just cut it into squares. So, here is your Rocky Road. Very tasty. Very tasty. Now we're gonna make the lemonade as well. So, with your syrup that you made earlier, just gonna pop some in the glass. And then either with sparkling water or still water, whichever you prefer, just going to top up the glass. So I've gone for sparkling water because I like fizzy lemonade. Woo. Perfect. So there you have it, your summer berry lemonade and your Rocky Road. Hope you enjoy making them and drinking them and eating them, and I'd love to see some photos, so please do send them in. But have a lovely week and have a lovely time in the sun. Bye!
Thank you. Please remember to send in your drawings and photographs using the hashtag #DrawWithRachel_PSGS, or you can send them to me by email. Thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now!